How's everyone doing? Glad everyone could make it. Welcome to PhoneDog Live. I'm Sydney. If this is your first time, just tell you what's going on. So yeah, I'm glad everyone could make it. As usual, let me know if video and everything is okay, if you can hear me, or if you can't hear me. On that note, I guess it'd be a good idea to. That was my computer telling me what time it is. I guess it'd be a good idea for me to log into the chat so I can see what you guys are saying. So we have a couple of topics today. I tweeted about them earlier, but just in case you missed it, I thought we would talk about the Apple Samsung lawsuit and kind of everything that's going on with that, and then a couple other things that a few other news items from Apple, and then also we had a big release with the G2x, and so I thought we'd kind of talk about that. So can you not hear me? Let me know if you can hear me or not. I see somebody just said that the stream is muted. Is that, can everyone not hear me, or is it okay? You can hear me? Okay, I guess maybe that was just one person. Okay. Yeah, so just let me know at any time if it does freeze or if anything happens. Okay, so I am logged in and have set some moderators, and you can hear me. Okay, good. So first of all, I just thought we would talk about the Apple Samsung lawsuit, because it's been it's kind of a hot topic, because if it were any other company, it would kind of just be like another normal, typical lawsuit. Companies sue each other over every little thing. But it's kind of a bigger deal because it's Apple, and people take notice of what Apple does. And, what they're suing Samsung for is kind of interesting. And whenever I first heard it, basically, to simplify it, they're suing Samsung for certain patent infringements, but also sort of a trademark, violation, which I'll get into more details. So, first we heard that Apple was suing Samsung over certain things like the icon design, the design of the Galaxy S phones, and everybody, whenever the Galaxy S phones first came out, they immediately picked up on that the app drawer, the way it was designed, looked very similar to iOS, and the icons and the grid. And you're out of focus. Is it okay? Can you see me okay? There's nothing I can do about that. I'm just using a webcam. Anyway, and so everyone noticed it was very similar, and so Apple, I guess, finally, just now picked up on it and is now suing Samsung. So, I've heard arguments saying, Apple can't do that because, they didn't invent the phone, they didn't invent icons, they didn't invent, all the stuff that Samsung is using. But I think it's kind of important to get down to what exactly Apple is suing Samsung for. They're not suing them because they're saying that they invented these things. Apple isn't saying that they invented icons, or that they invented the speech bubbles for the text messaging interface, or even that they invented a particular hardware design or the cell phone. What Apple is saying is that their entire empire, the entire Apple company, is based on a particular look and feel. It's not just the fact that they use a grid of icons, it's the fact that people use those features to identify a particular phone as an Apple iPhone. And so it's not just the icons, it's not just the way the icons are designed, it's the fact that Apple uses those, that's part of their brand. And so they're saying, which is, whether you want to agree with this or not, what Apple is saying is that Samsung took advantage of Apple's brand and how people identify that, and used it to their advantage by making their phone look similar to Apple, just to get people to buy their phone, because maybe it would confuse people or think that it's somehow related to the iPhone. A good analogy that I thought of is kind of the way a low-profile company would make money off of a cheap iPhone knockoff. They make money off of people know, okay, this is what an iPhone looks like, so I can make a phone that looks just like it, and people will buy it because it looks like an iPhone. Apple is saying that Samsung did the same thing. Now, you know, how Samsung is going to defend that, I don't really know, and it's kind of, you know, but when you look at it from the way that Apple is presenting it, because I think a lot of people are kind of, and whenever I first heard it, I thought the same thing because, you know, I'm the same type. I'm quick to jump on Apple for, you know, the stupid things that they do sometimes. But when you look at it from that perspective, it kind of, well, it puts it into the right perspective of what Apple is actually talking about. Now, Samsung could easily make the argument that that's not true, that they weren't trying to confuse people, that they weren't copying Apple, you know, simply to make their phone look like an iPhone so that people would buy it. They would have to prove that by, you know, studies or interviews, however they want to prove it. But, you know, it's interesting. When I was doing research, I don't know if you guys have seen this picture, and last week I tried to show a picture, and it didn't work. The audio cut out. So I'm going to show a picture, and just, you know, again, let me know if the audio cuts out, because I'm supposedly going to do it the right way this time. Last time it was the wrong way. Anyway, so this is the picture that I'm talking about, and it's, you know, it's kind of a funny picture because on the left is a device that was made by Samsung that was released shortly after the iPhone was released. It was in the making before the iPhone was made, but anyway. And so, you know, this is kind of, you know, people use it as, okay, you know, Apple, you're saying that Samsung copied off of you, when in reality, if you look at this, I mean, they're very similar. You could say that Apple copied off of Samsung. But let's go over to this picture. This is a picture of icons from a Galaxy S with a TouchWiz. This is basically the icons from TouchWiz, and then the icons from iOS. So on the left, you have iOS icons. On the right, you have TouchWiz icons. And you can obviously see a lot of similarities from, you know, the phone icon. Okay, that's kind of obvious. But, you know, it's also interesting if you look at the icon for the gallery, for the pictures. Apple uses a sunflower, and TouchWiz also uses a sunflower. I mean, the fact that they use a flower is, you know, close enough, you know, obviously already kind of obvious, but the fact they chose to use the same exact kind of flower, you know, when you look at it that way, you can see that it is actually really obvious that Samsung did not try at all to make it any different. They could have used a different picture for the gallery icon. They could have used a different color for the phone icon. There's so many things they could have done differently, but they chose not to. So, you know, and you guys feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments, because, you know, I'm checking out the comments and reading them as I go. So I was a person, when I first heard it, I was like, that's stupid, Apple, you're suing people over nothing, and you're just making crap up. I mean, you didn't invent the cell phone, you can't sue somebody for that. But when you look at it from their point of view, that they have this entire brand based on, you know, the way that they've chosen to do things, and then Samsung didn't even try to make it any different. But on the other hand, this is because I was thinking about it from both sides, because, you know, you have to be even. You know, we try to be unbiased. When I work for a news site, you know, you have to be unbiased. But anyway, when you look at it from this perspective, Apple says that menu, the grid of icons, is what Samsung copied and made it look similar to the iPhone. But those two things that they're comparing are, you know, totally, completely different functions of the phone. The grid of icons that Apple is referring to is a part of Samsung's app drawer, or the menu, for their phones, whereas Apple uses these icons on the home screen itself. And Samsung's home screen design for TouchWiz, you know, doesn't resemble an iPhone any more than any other Android device resembles an iPhone, save for the design of the actual icons themselves. So, you know, you could also look at it that way, that, you know, Apple is comparing, you know, a totally different function to, you know, it's a menu system, and then this is Apple's home screen. So, you know, there's you know, arguments that could be made different ways, but anyway, it's definitely a hot topic. People have been talking about it. We'll have to see how it works out. The interesting thing is that, you know, Apple and Samsung have, you know, an interesting relationship, I guess, because they clearly have problems there, because you don't just file a lawsuit out of the blue. I mean, obviously they've been talking about this for a long time. But not only that, Apple was Samsung's second biggest client last year, because we know Samsung designs processors, the chips that are used in Apple devices, and so Apple was Samsung's largest client last year, second largest client, and is expected to be their largest client this year. Last year, Apple earned Samsung about $5.7 billion. So they have a very, a tight relationship in terms of, it's sort of like they need each other. They hate each other, but they need each other. And so if this, goes sour, then Apple could be forced to, go with another company for their chips, for all the products they get from Samsung. Samsung could lose a huge client. I mean, either way, it's a lose-lose, really. So anyway, we'll have to see how it works out. It's definitely interesting. A lot of time when someone sees my Samsung Vibrant, a Galaxy S phone, for the first time, they always think it's an iPhone. Somebody brought that out on a news website that I was reading, that they said that people were actually told when they went to Verizon to go buy a Samsung Fascinate, they were told that it was the best phone because it's pretty much like the iPhone. And so Apple's, kind of using that as well. You were telling people that. That was from a news website, though. It wasn't part of Apple's initial argument. But anyway, I don't have a lag at all. That's good. I'm glad you don't have a lag. But anyway, so it's interesting, and it's really heated. It's that age-old, Apple versus everybody, pretty much. I mean, it was Apple versus Microsoft, and then now it's Apple versus Android, which is kind of what this whole Samsung thing is about. At least that's what people are thinking. But it is interesting if you look at it from Apple's point of view, because back a long time ago, Apple sued Microsoft for a look and feel patent infringement, saying that Microsoft had copied, which they couldn't actually win that. They couldn't actually prove it, because you could say anything, or maybe we just happened to design the same thing. But this lawsuit is different. Is the video cutting in and out? Let me know. Let somebody else confirm that if it is. But anyway, but this lawsuit is actually different, because they're not just saying, well, it looks similar. They're saying that it does look similar. There's no denying that. But our problem is not just that, it's the fact that that's our brand. We make money off of that design, and now you're using our design to make money. So anyway, we'll have to see how it works out. And of course, it's going to, Apple fanboys are going to defend Apple, and Android fanboys are going to defend Android, and Samsung, if they have fanboys, I don't know, they'll defend Samsung. So anyway, it's definitely kind of interesting. But that's that, and I've been reading about that, and I don't know, I'm kind of, in the end, nothing major is going to happen. It's not like Apple's going to, lose, are going to have to go down because of this, or Samsung's going to have to stop selling their Galaxy S devices. I mean, chances are usually these lawsuits are settled out of court with some sort of, patent agreement, and everything is solved, and it's not really a big deal. But we'll have to see. In other Apple news this week, I think it was this week, one of the things that people have been really wanting, I'm changing topic by the way now, Apple is such a drama queen. Yeah, well, when you think about it, every company sues, Microsoft sued Motorola, Motorola sued, someone else, Apple sues someone, Samsung sues, I mean, every company sues someone because, they gotta make money somehow. But anyway, we'll see how it turns out. But something else that I had been, we heard in the news recently was this new multitasking system for iOS. And this entire broadcast is not going to be about Apple, just in case you're wondering. I try to keep it even between Apple and Android. But anyway, this whole new multitasking system for iOS 5. And, Apple, even very devout, well, I guess they kind of are devout Apple fans, but devoted Apple fans, for a long time have been wanting multitasking. It's one of those things that you just can't deny. iOS is a great operating system, but there's some things that it lacks, and multitasking is one of those. And so we saw this video of, it was a white iPhone, which in itself is really weird because the white iPhone hasn't been released yet. But not only that, it was using some sort of multitasking. And we don't know if this was a test version of iOS, if it was, you know, something that had been tried out and then already scrapped and this isn't even an option anymore, or if this actually is going to happen. Again, I'm going to show you guys a picture. Here's a picture of how it could be done, how multitasking could be done. Sorry guys, my phone was ringing, which has never happened. But anyway, so this is how multitasking could be done. You can see basically it has the grid of all of your currently running programs, and then you can do a long hold on one of them, which is what you can see in the top right, how there's an X on that one, so you can close a program if it's already running. And we're assuming that you would get to that, you know, multitasking window by, you know, maybe simply holding down the home button or doing the double tap, you know, like you do now. Yes, that was One Republic, Good Life. I love that song. Yeah. Anyway, so that's, you know, it's kind of interesting. Whenever I first saw it, you know, I think it could have been done a little differently, and it may be done differently. This may not be the real thing. It may not even, you know, be in use anymore. But I was thinking, you know, it's interesting. It's definitely very visually appealing, because that's, you know, that's what Apple does. I mean, everything's visually appealing. By the way, this was a video, so it's obviously not photoshopped because it was a video. The video could possibly be fake. I don't know. We don't know yet. But as far as we know, we're just going to take it as the real deal. But anyway, so, you know, it's kind of good news. People have been wanting multitasking. Again, you guys, does this seem like, if you have an iPhone or if you've always wanted an iPhone but you've held back because it doesn't have multitasking, Android does this look like the way that you would want multitasking? Or does it just look like it's not going to cut it? We had an article on PhoneDog about, you know, kind of the negatives of using this system of multitasking. One was the fact that currently, right now, the way that multitasking is done, which isn't really multitasking, it's currently kind of just app switching. The way it's done now is you do the double tap, and it brings up not only like current programs, but it also brings up your iPod controls. And so, you know, if this is the same system, then the iPod controls are kind of gone, and so you kind of wonder, like, how you would get to those. But anyway, I think it looks pretty good. You know, it may not be everything we want, but at this point, I think most iPhone users would just be glad to have actual multitasking in its current state. And there's a lot of debate about this too, whether or not multitasking on the iPhone right now is actually multitasking. It's really not, because those programs aren't, whenever you switch to another program, that other one stops running, and then when you switch back, it starts running again. So this looks like it could be actual real multitasking, which I think, you know, and one of the things that Apple has said is that multitasking slows down a phone, which is true. That's one of the reasons why Android has always, you know, it's never had that same smooth experience that an iPhone has had, because there's always programs running in the background. You always have widgets running in the background, so it can't keep up. Whereas, you know, now we're getting better with, you know, better processors and dual core processors. So the new iPhone supposedly will have a dual core processor. If that's the case, it should be able to handle this true multitasking. So anyway, it's kind of interesting. Whenever I first saw it, I was like, yeah, I kind of like it. For me, the biggest thing with the iPhone is not just multitasking. It's mostly widgets and a notification system, a better notification system. So if they fix that, then I would be willing to accept this form of multitasking. So let me see what you guys have to say about it. What kind of phone are you using? The new BlackBerry Playbook is actual multitasking. Yes, good point. These dual cores, though, can handle it. Yes, it's what I was pointing out. Same as the older computers alongside the newer computers. Yes, good point. So anyway, that's multitasking. I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit, because it is about time that Apple did something to appease their customers. I think, You know, there's a lot of things they've wanted for a long time, and they got a few of them, but I think the really big ones they still haven't gotten. I think it's about time that Apple, you know, just did it. You know, just give the people what they want. So we'll have to see if they actually do. Anyway, last but not least, certainly not least, we had a big device announcement, or we just got the phone actually to do a review also, but the Tmobile G2x. This is a pretty amazing phone, and you know, if you haven't read any reviews on it, I've read a couple reviews and watched some videos. Basically, everyone that uses it feels like it's the best Android phone on the market right now, and of course, we know that there's, you know, a lot of other Android phones that are coming out within the next few weeks and months. But, you know, even then, this is definitely going to be up there. But for the time being, everyone is saying this is the best phone. Now, if you're not in the U.S., this was also known as the LG Star and the LG Optimus 2X. In the United States, it's on T-Mobile, so it's known as the Tmobile G2x, which is following the G1 and the G2, now the G2x. So I'm pretty excited about it. Just a quick spec rundown, just in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know what exactly the phone has. It has a dual-core Tegra 2 processor. It does not, the T-Mobile version does not have a custom skin, so it's stock Android 2.2. Has a 4-inch display, beautiful display, an 8-megapixel camera that can capture 1080p video, so full HD. It also has a front-facing camera. Obviously, it's a 4G phone. It's available from T-Mobile, $199 on contract. So the biggest thing is 4G, and also the fact that it's a dual-core processor, or has a dual-core processor. And you know, every time Aaron did the review on this, he did the video review, and it was so snappy. Somebody brought out in the comments for that video review that you know, Android 2.2, which is what the G2X ships with, Android 2.2 isn't actually the version of Android that's made to really take advantage of a dual-core processor. 2.3 is really meant for, if you have a dual-core processor, you're going to notice that it's going to be amazing and super fast. So someone was saying, but it's not 2.3, so it has a dual-core processor, but does that actually matter? Well, it does matter. Even though the software isn't made to really, you know, take advantage of it, the phone still can, you know, trust me. So it's very fast, very zippy, and not only that, but it's a 4G phone. T-Mobile's HSPA Plus network. I haven't heard too many negative things about it. I mean, obviously coverage is not excellent everywhere, and they're still kind of, they don't have a 4G network everywhere. So if you're not in the current T-Mobile HSPA Plus area, then it's kind of pointless. But from what I've heard, it's super fast. So that phone seems pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about it. We do have a review. Aaron did the review. I'm pretty sure he's going to be doing some dog fights with it. Let me see, there's a couple of questions. If the G2X is stock Android, why couldn't it have gingerbread at launch? You know, we don't know. I'm pretty confident it'll get gingerbread, you know, because it's a very high-end device. It's a flagship device. T-Mobile, anytime a phone is called, it's a T-Mobile G2X, not the LG G2X, and it's a flagship phone, so I'm pretty sure T-Mobile will make sure it gets gingerbread. Is the G2X going to just be on T-Mobile, or is it going to be on the other carriers like LG? I'm pretty sure it's just on T-Mobile. We haven't heard of any other carrier getting it, so we're pretty sure. But so it's pretty exciting, and I've been reading about it all day because it's crazy. It's like this crazy phone. Of course, we've also heard of these other phones. We just heard about today, I think, there was leaked the Motorola Jet, which is supposed to have a quad-core processor, and also the Motorola Bullet, which is also supposed to have a quad-core processor, one with a keyboard and one without a keyboard. So, but that's next year. For the time being, dual-core processors is where it's at. The Thunderbolt was awesome. But I mean, you know, I've heard several people say that the G2X is better, so it's pretty exciting. You guys have something else to look forward to. And T-Mobile has a really good lineup right now. They have the G2x, the Sidekick. They still have the MyTouch. The Vibrant 4G is still a good phone. I mean, it's not top dog anymore, but I mean, it's still an amazing phone. So, you know, it's they have a good lineup. I mean, sometimes it goes back and forth between T-Mobile and Verizon, but it seems like T-Mobile right now really is where it's going on. So that's exciting. Anyone know if the G2x or a rebranded version will ever hit Canada? I'm not sure. Somebody else can answer that if you know. Let me see if I can find it. G2 LG Optimus 2X Canada. Okay, it looks like the Optimus 2X and the Optimus Black, which is another phone that we heard about a long time ago that kind of just faded off into the distance. It's also similar. It has, you know, great specs. But it looks like both of those could be going to Canada eventually. So I've heard, let's see, late Q3 possibly by Rogers. So that's exciting. But anyway, so those are the few things that I wanted to talk about during this PhoneDog Live. First was the Samsung Apple lawsuit problem thing, and everybody, you know, is kind of taking sides on that. I haven't really taken sides because I think both sides have solid arguments, so I'm just going to wait and see who wins. And then the iOS 5 multitasking, which I hope they do introduce multitasking, but more than that, like I said earlier, I wish a better notification system and widgets, but, you know, if they did that, they would be Android pretty much, and that's not going to happen. So, and then the G2x. So, we have the Samsung Galaxy S2 coming out, possibly, unless, you know, Samsung loses this lawsuit. Apple may not allow them to release the Samsung Galaxy S2, but we have that coming out. The Droid Charge should be coming out pretty soon. We still have, let me see, what else is coming out? Plenty of phones coming out, so there's plenty of stuff to talk about. But anyway, so again, I finished my topics early. It's supposed to last 45 minutes, but it only lasted 30 minutes. But that's okay. We'll just open it up now to open Q&A. So if you have any questions, if you want to comment on the topics that we talked about, or if you just want to ask me any random question about a phone, feel free to ask. Let me see. Yes, we have, yes, Stewie, you are a moderator. We have a few moderators, so, you know, don't go crazy because they'll delete your comment. Okay, let me see. You are just efficient. Yes, thank you. What's your thoughts on HP and WebOS? You know, we're gonna have to. I've been asked that a couple of times over the past few months, and really, we're just gonna have to wait until these new phones come out that were just announced. Well, not really just announced, but announced, you know, back a few months ago. Because we have the Pre 3, the HP Veer. And so, you know, those aren't really coming out until May or summer. And so until HP starts that marketing campaign, we won't really know, you know, if there's still hope for WebOS. But we'll find out. But those devices are going to be great. It's just a matter of if people actually pick up on it and buy them. Okay, here's a question from Facebook. I got a question. Will there be a dedicated Facebook app for the Zoom? I'm sure there will be. I mean, generally every Android device comes with the Facebook app, and if not, you can download it from the market. Will it be specifically designed by Motorola as like a Motorola Facebook app? I don't know about that, but you could easily download one from the market. Here's another question from Facebook. Do you think that the Evo 3D will have the same effect on the mobile market as the original Evo? Possibly. But at the same time, probably not as much effect, because the Evo was really the first major phone that was a 4G phone. It kind of introduced people to 4G, and ever since then, you know, 4G is the way to go. And so the Evo 3D its new feature is 3D, obviously the 3D camera, 3D display. However, there's a couple of phones, not a lot, there's a couple of phones and a couple of tablets that are coming out with 3D cameras. So it's not quite as groundbreaking, but it is still going to be one of the first. So I think it'll still have a big impact, just not as big. Wow, there's a lot of questions on Facebook today. Let me come back to those and see if I missed any from Ustream. Think we're close to a 5-inch phone. You know, we had the Dell Streak that had a 5-inch display, and you know, people couldn't really decide if it was a tablet or a phone. I've heard that people that had the Dell Streak loved it, but it just, you know, it didn't really pick on. It didn't really catch on. You know, no other phones since then have had a 5-inch display. So I don't know if we're close. It seems like 4.3 inches. 4.4 is kind of the largest we've seen. For me, 4 inches is kind of that middle ground that really works. Has the Htc Freestyle been released in Canada yet? I'm not sure. I wish I could answer that. Does it have a 3D display? If you're talking about the Evo 3D, yes, it does. At least I'm pretty confident that it does. I should probably check before I just go blab and say that it does. Yes, it does. And it also captures 3D video, HD 3D video. That's the sweet spot. Stereoscopic. Oh, the camera. Okay. No, sorry. Not interested in 3D phones. 3D is such a scam. Yeah, I hear that a lot, that it's kind of one of those, I still think it's kind of like a marketing gimmick, but at the same time, it's, you know, it could be kind of cool. You could use it sometimes. 4.3 to 3.7 seems like the sweet spot, yeah. Okay, now let me get back to the questions from Facebook. What do you think about the HTC Sensation for T-Mobile, and will it be better than the G2x? I said earlier, and I'll just say it again. I personally haven't used the G2x. Obviously, Aaron has that phone for the review. But I've read reviews, and from what I've heard, it's the best Android phone on the market right now. So I'd say the G2x would definitely be the. Now that depends. If you don't like maybe you prefer HTC Sense. The Sensation would be better. So that's kind of one of those catches there. If you're below 18 years old and want a prize, can I use one of my parents' ID cards to claim the prize? I believe the rules state that you have to be 18, and so if you're not 18, then you're not even eligible to enter. So if you do enter, then it's void. Your entry doesn't count. Your parents could have entered, but since it's your name, then it's kind of just void. Sorry about that. It was in the rules though. Should I get the G2x or the MyTouch 4G, the Galaxy S 4G? Again, G2x. Probably the best phone on T-Mobile right now. Okay. Does the G2x work with AT&T 3G? That's a good question. I would have to check the bands, the 3G. It's probably going to be the same as the other 3G phones. Actually, I don't even know if it goes back to 3G if it's not near a 4G spot. Someone is going to have to confirm that. But if not, then it's probably going to be the same as every other T-Mobile phone that it's not compatible with AT&T's 3G bands. I heard a while ago that HP would put WebOS and Windows 7 on all future phones. Would that be dual boot or a hybrid or something else? I'm not sure. I hadn't really heard that. I would be surprised if they did. You said laptops. Yeah, I had heard that briefly, not really talked about much since then. Would it be a dual boot? It would probably be you could use either one depending on, if you're out and about or if you're at home and you're using it as an actual computer. But HP hasn't really commented on it much since they said that initially, so we don't really know. Let me see. I have Sprint. I don't live in an area with 4G. Live, not like. That sounds weird. Okay. Let me get a drink of water for my throat. Water's good. Quenches my thirst. Will there be a Windows Phone 7 devices launched at this year's Nokia event? Or Nokia, however you want to say it. Let me see if we've heard anything solid about that. Let me see. I don't think we have heard anything about that yet. Nothing certain, so I'm not sure. Any new date for the ARC for AT&T? They kept saying April. Sony, Ericsson, Xperia, ARC. Yes, that's what I'm still hearing. What phone are you using? Actually, I just got done with a review of the Prevail. I was using that for about a week. It was an okay phone. It was meh, sort of. I kind of lagged a lot. So, what are your thoughts on the whole T-Mobile AT&T situation? We talked about that a couple weeks ago. That was one of our topics that we discussed, and I'm not really sure. I mean, in terms of would it be good for competition? Would it be bad for competition? In a way, you could say it would be bad because, then AT&T and T-Mobile would own 85% of the market, I think they said. But then on the other hand, you could say, well, now they're going to be this large, conglomerate, huge network. And so now Sprint is really going to have to step up their game and get, really good devices. So it could encourage competition. So, that's just briefly what I think about it in a nutshell. I'm not really sure. I haven't decided yet. And will it go through? I don't know. I mean, that's up to the FCC and the courts. How weird was that new Droid commercial, the one with the magnets and stuff? I know, I saw that, and I was just like, I don't get it. There's got to be like some secret message here, but I'm just not seeing it. And then at the end, Droid landing. So it's like Droid is landing, and it's causing all these problems, which actually isn't a good thing, but it's supposed to. Anyway, I was kind of confused. It was definitely weird. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Apple keeping records on your location. And we might talk about that next week. That's a good topic. Maybe I'll put that on my list for the topic for next week. If you have any requests for the topics, by the way, I always ask, so feel free to leave them if you do have any requests. Kind of want T-Mobile to stick around to have another GSM carrier available because Verizon charges less. What do you think of Angry Birds? Do you think they're helping out the smartphone market? I don't know if they're helping out. I played Angry Birds for a while, and it was fun and addicting, but I don't really play it anymore. It kind of just, it's just a phone game. It's not really kind of one of like those fads that, it gets popular for a while and then kind of dies off. Obviously, the marketing was lost on us. Yes, pretty much. I think they do. Twitter is helping it out, too. Okay. Let me check Facebook again. There's been actually a lot of questions on Facebook today. Either that or I'm just not used to checking Facebook because I always forget. How are you doing today? I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. I wasn't feeling good earlier. I think I got a little overheated because the weather has been really nice outside, and so for the past couple of weeks we haven't really had to have our air conditioner on. And so today I didn't have it on because it was really cool this morning. And then all of a sudden around like 2 o'clock it got really hot in here and I was like, what the heck? And so I checked the weather and it was like 82 outside. And I was like, oh, so I turned on the air, but I think I got kind of overheated and so I was feeling kind of sick, but I'm okay now. It always goes away once I start the chat because I'm focusing on everything else. Okay, will the Evo View get 3.0 and will the original Evo get 2.3 with the new HTC Sense? HTC has confirmed that only their new devices will get the new version of Sense. So, whether it's the new ones that are about to come out, they'll get the new version, or if it was a phone that was just released, within the past few months or so, it'll also get the new Sense. The Evo will not get the new Sense, unfortunately. Will the Evo View get 3.0? I don't think we know that. I don't think we've heard anything about that. I'm going to guess no, but we haven't really heard anything about it. And then your other question was, Will the original Evo get 2.3? Again, I don't think we've heard anything about that. If I had to make a guess, I would say there's probably about a 50% chance that it would. Okay, would there be a bigger battery for the G2x? Probably. Most manufacturers sell extended batteries. Yeah, you might have to go online to get it, but I assume there's some way to do that. Now the G2x, if I'm correct, it has sort of a weird back cover, if I'm right about that. Oh no, that's another phone. So yeah, it should have an extended battery. Okay, back to Ustream. Where is she reading questions from? That was from Facebook. There's a broadcast on Facebook and Ustream, and so I have to read the comments from both. So I was reading those from Facebook. I just made it. What did I miss? You missed pretty much the entire chat. But that's okay. I recorded it, so whatever you missed, you'll still be able to watch. And I'm going to put it on our site. And also, somebody requested I upload it to YouTube, so I'll also be doing that. EvoView will probably get 3.0 as the HTC Flyer will. Will you be going to any of major tech events in the near future? Erin is usually the one that's our ambassador to events like MWC, CTIA, CES, WWDC. He's usually the one that covers that, so he'll probably continue to be that one. Which, you know, I'm kind of jealous. It'd be fun to go, but he's definitely more qualified to cover all of that. I've never been to one, so it would be probably kind of an overload. According to the past release schedule, when should we be hearing about the newest version of Android? We've heard rumors that 2.4 could be coming in April. That's probably not true since it's almost the end of April, so maybe sometime this summer, I would guess. That's going to be 2.4, possibly known as Gingerbread 2, and then 3.1 is supposedly the next version. It's going to be known as Ice Cream Sandwich, maybe. Go with him. It's not fair. He does all the fun stuff. Well, he's the managing editor, so he kind of deserves to do it. I'm just an editor, so he's kind of the top dog. So it makes more sense for him to cover it. Do you think you'll eventually be able to go to the mobile events? I don't know. You know, I've asked before, but I probably would have been in over my head. I don't know. Maybe eventually. We'll just have to see how it works out. Okay. More questions from Facebook. Would there be... Okay, I just answered that. If I upgrade my phone this June from T-Mobile, will I be affected by the AT&T T-Mobile buyout? If you have... Whenever it goes through, it hasn't gone through yet. It probably won't go through for another year. So in the meantime, it's business as usual. T-Mobile is separate. AT&T is separate. When it does go through, if you're in a contract... You'll probably be able to keep that same plan, the same pricing, you know, minutes and all of that. Now, when your contract expires, there may be a change. We don't know. We're just guessing. There may be a change. But if you're still in a contract when the plan does go through, you know, we're assuming that you're going to be able to still keep that contract. AT&T, I'm pretty sure, can't just cancel it for no reason. Hi, Sydney. Hello, Dana. Which for you would be the perfect phone to pick right now? The perfect phone to pick right now? See, I really like the G2x, and I would probably pick it. However, I don't like stock Android, so, but at the same time, I guess I could just download, like, maybe, a launcher. I use Launcher Pro on my phone, so... I guess I would get the G2x, since everyone's saying it's the best Android phone on the market right now. Okay, back to Ustream. Wow, she's really doing a great job keeping up with Facebook today. I know, I usually forget to check, and today I remembered, and then there's been like a lot of questions, so I've kind of had to remember. Okay, because we've been boring. I love stock Android. You know, I love Android and everything that it brings, but stock Android is just kind of boring. It's like, there's nothing going on. The icons, they're just pictures, just icons. The dock is like this boring gray thing. The notification bar is just gray. It's kind of boring to me. I love custom UIs. I love TouchWiz. That's one of my favorite UIs. It's probably my favorite UI on the market. I like HTC Sense a lot, but TouchWiz is my favorite, and it's the heaviest UI. So you can see if I love TouchWiz, then I probably really don't like stock Android. Why is stock Android called vanilla Android? Probably because, you know, vanilla, it's plain. There's nothing added to it. It's just plain. Remember the Singular buyout? Everybody will have to do new contract. Yeah, I remember when AT&T bought Singular. That was weird. Since it's stock, will the G2x get updates frequently and rapidly, just like the Nexus? I'm gonna say it'll probably get updates pretty quickly. Will it be one of the first? I don't know. But it probably will because, one, it's stock, and also it's a flagship phone. Like I was saying earlier, it's not known as the LG G2x, it's known as the Tmobile G2x. So it's a flagship phone, so that too, I would assume that it would get updates faster. When are you getting married? I'm already married, actually. I've been married for over a year, so, but thanks for asking. Someone asked about the vanilla thing like once every show. Really? I must miss that question every time. Someone asks me every show how I got my job at PhoneDog, and then somebody complained that I talk about that every week, so I stopped answering it. And then I answer it like every couple of weeks, just, you know, in case somebody asks. So if HTC Sense was stock Android, do you think it attract a greater amount of users? That's an interesting question. I guess so. You know, the Evo is, you know, one of the most, you know, I've seen more people with the Evo and the Droid than I have any other Android phone. And of course the Droid was stock Android, but you know, the Evo has been massively popular, at least just from what I've seen and, you know, walking around. So, you know, maybe HTC Sense does help make it a little more appealing. She's already married with me. Actually, that's a joke. I'm not really married. Not to him. You just broke my heart. Sorry. Your streak is broken. Okay. Let me see. Moto Blur. Someone must save us from that. I hate Moto Blur. I talk about that a lot. Every time someone asks me if they should get the Atrix or the Bionic, I always say I hate Moto Blur. It's the icons look so cheap, and it's just I hate the dock. I don't, not just the heavy Moto Blur, even like that more simplified, toned down version of Moto Blur. I hate that version too. I hate the widgets. I hate Moto Blur. Anyway, what do you think of the Playbook? I think it's, you know, it's great by BlackBerry. I mean, I think they really did a good job with that. You know, they could have just released a tablet because they wanted to, but I mean, dual-core processor, this whole new OS that's beautiful and very visually appealing. I think they did a great job. And kind of, you know, a lot of people don't realize they kind of set a standard. I mean, dual-core processor, the camera, you know, people don't really point to that, but I think they did, and so I think it was a good job. You know, one tablet that I'm actually really excited about that I'm tempted to buy it, but I'm not going to because I have no use for a tablet like this, but the Asus Eee Pad Transformer is so cool because it's a 10-inch tablet, it runs Honeycomb, it has a custom UI, but it's not heavy, because, you know, even Honeycomb tablets with the UI, like, really the only thing it changes is, like, the little icons at the bottom. It's really not, but it's just, you know, little features. But anyway, 10-inch Honeycomb tablet, it looks beautiful, it looks very well designed, and then it comes with this keyboard dock that's actually like looks like a laptop keyboard. It's not one of those cheap little keyboards that you kind of snap in, you know, it's like an actual netbook keyboard, and so it is the same size as the actual tablet. So you have the tablet, you can snap it into the keyboard, and then it's like a netbook, and it's so awesome. And I'm thinking like, wow, I really want that, but I have no need for it. But and then it's a touchscreen, so you could have like this netbook that's like touchscreen and Honeycomb, and it comes with word processor applications and stuff. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome. The price is great. I think it's $500 or something. Let me see if I can check. maybe you can buy the tablet just by itself, and then the keyboard dock is like $150, which isn't bad, you know, when you think about it. But I don't know why that's not. Okay, Asus. There we go. Eee Pad Transformer. It is, how much is it? Doesn't have the price. Well, anyway, I'm really excited about that tablet. So, $399. Yes, at $399. It's something like, it's like $399, and then with the keyboard, it's like $500 or $530. Now it's Wi-Fi only, so you know that's kind of a bummer. But still, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Okay, let me check back to Facebook and just make sure. Okay, when is the next iPhone coming? We've heard that the next iPhone could be delayed and might not come out until September. That's the rumor, and we've heard more and more reports about that. So it seems like that's what's going to happen. Do you think? What do you think about the future of research in motion and the BlackBerry makers? You know, for a while we were kind of worried about RIM and BlackBerry because they were kind of they were sticking with their old model of, you know, just the phone and the keyboard and not a lot of memory. The cameras weren't that great. Processor, you know, in the age of 1 gigahertz processors, when those were like amazing, they were still sticking with their, you know, kind of slowish processors. And so we were kind of thinking like, I don't know if RIM's going to make it. But now, you know, we've heard the Bold Touch, the Curve Touch, the Storm 3, and they have great specs. You know, the Storm 3 supposedly has a 1.2 gigahertz processor. The Bold Touch also supposedly has a 1.2 gigahertz processor. And then it has a touchscreen, the Bold Touch, the Curve Touch. It has a touchscreen along with the trackpad and all that. So I think they did a good job of understanding, okay, we need to change here. So I'm confident now. We were kind of worried for a little bit, but I think they're going to be okay. How come you get the bad phones and they get the smartphones? It's the way everything is organized. I'm the teen lifestyle editor, and so I cover messaging phones, feature phones, and like the low-end smartphones, and then Aaron covers the high-end smartphones. It's just the way we have everything organized. It's nothing personal. It's not because I'm a girl. It's just, that's just the way it is. I agree. I hope they step their game up. Man, there are a lot of comments on Facebook today. This is crazy. Okay. Not the Droid Pro. Yay, I got it working. Somehow you got... Oh, no, you're still on mod. Okay. Still a moderator. Sydney. Yes, Joseph. The Transformer is $400, Wi-Fi only, 16 gigabyte, keyboard is $140. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Can you remove stuff using IRC? How do I watch? This is IRC. How do I okay. Well, you can't do anything on Ustream. Lucky Aaron. What kind of dog are you at PhoneDog, Sydney? A poodle, a prairie dog, a chihuahua? I don't know. My husband says I'm a lot like a chihuahua because I get really nervous. I'm a very nervous person. I worry a lot about stuff, and I get nervous about pretty much everything. So I guess I would be like a chihuahua. She just said, Ustream chat is less than fulfilling today, that's for sure. Well, I think it's kind of spread out actually pretty evenly between Facebook and Ustream. Usually it's like all the comments are on Ustream, and there's like no comments on Facebook, but now it's actually kind of half and half. Will Microsoft jump into tablet world? A Microsoft tablet maybe? I think eventually, yeah. I think it's only a matter of time. But we'll just, they've had tablets that ran like full Windows 7 operating system, not Windows Phone 7, but the full desktop Windows 7. Not massively popular, but they are kind of, you know, I think it'd be better if they used Windows Phone 7 on a tablet. They could call it like Windows Tablet 7, but anyway. Can you tether the HTC Inspire 4G with a laptop without buying expensive AT&T tethering package? My Nokia E71X works, but wanted to upgrade to the HTC Inspire 4G. Thanks so much for answering mine. You're welcome, Roy Solano. Can you tether without buying a tethering package? I'm pretty sure you would have to buy the tethering package. Carriers are starting to crack down on that. For a while, you could jailbreak and tether without them knowing, but they've really started cracking down on it, so I think you'd have to get the plan. Can you please check this out? Okay. Okay, it's a tablet, 8-inch touch tablet, PC, Google Android 2.2. No, I wouldn't recommend it. I've never heard of that brand. It runs 2.2, which is, no, it seems like it's kind of a 800 megahertz processor. Yeah, it seems like kind of one of just those cheap knockoff tablets. It looks exactly like an iPad, so it's kind of just a knockoff. I wouldn't recommend getting it. No, it's probably going to be just a cheap tablet that doesn't work. No, I wouldn't get that. Okay, back to Ustream. Mike, they can't really. It's the LTE radio that is killing it. Sid, as a review of messaging devices, how do you like the Sidekick 4G as a replacement for a basic feature phone? Well, it'd be great, but it's a smartphone, so you are going to have to get the data plan. If you don't mind that, then yeah, it'd be an excellent choice, but just keep that in mind. Just missed a bunch of questions there. Microsoft invented the tablet. See Windows XP Tablet Edition. Don't know if she talked about this at the beginning, but did anyone see that picture? LOL at Apple. Yeah, I talked about that. One of the things we talked about was the Samsung Apple lawsuit, and so I brought out that picture. What's your sign, Sydney? Are you a Pisces? I think I am a Pisces. I was born March 20th, so I don't really do all the... my voice just cracked. That was awesome. I don't really do the horoscope thing. I don't believe in all that, but comparing the Samsung... oh yeah, the music player to the iPhone. Yeah, we talked about that. I suggested that on Twitter was fun. Astrology is bunk. I'm going to post it on Facebook later. Agreed. Smiley face. Nope, that's not a smiley face. That's a frown face. What's the matter, Foxy? What happened? Frown face? Thanks so very much. Have a great weekend. Thank you. A cheap tablet that doesn't work. Yes, that's how I described it. He said astrology is bunk. I know, I don't know what astrology is bunk. I'm not sure what that means, but, Ustream equals epic fail. I thought we were doing pretty good on Ustream. Has there been problems with the stream or something? Bunk equals bad plus junk. Oh, clever. That was clever. There is not a gesture for epic fail. Oh, okay, you were saying epic fail. Okay, interesting. Mostly just the content. How do you remove things on Ustream now? I hate the new Ustream. What's wrong with the new Ustream? Did something happen? Let me go to Ustream. Looks the same to me. Oh, hey, that's me. Oops, sorry. Okay. Yeah, it looks the same. I don't know. Has Ustream been failing? Oops, sorry. That was an ad. I closed it. Okay, they messed up the layouts. The flash chat is annoying. I meant the Ustream is epic fail because the commenters, me included, are epically boring today. That's your own stank fault. Okay, I just noticed it's 4:58, so we only have 2 minutes left, which is fine because questions have been kind of slow today, so it's not like I've missed a lot. The mod functions aren't working. Oh, well, that's okay. We haven't had any bad comments. But anyway, so yeah, 2 minutes left. If you have any last minute questions, I'll try to answer them. Do you like PhoneDog? Yeah, I love PhoneDog. What major changes can we expect in iPhone 5 apart from a bigger screen? Here's what we've heard about the iPhone. Now, we heard originally that the iPhone would have multi-core processor, not LTE, but possibly HSPA Plus for AT&T, a 4-inch display, a thinner bezel, an aluminum backing, and a redesigned antenna and an 8-megapixel camera. Now we're hearing that it could have the same exact design, still that dual-core processor, but basically the same design, and then it might be a world phone, that's what we're hearing, and released in September. So, can you add a signature for the HTC Freestyle? You know, I didn't test that out. That's a good question. I should have done that. Who do you look up to in the tech world as your idol? As my idol, I don't really have idols. I mean, I don't have idols, but I mean, who do I look up to? Let me see. Let me go through. I don't really look up to people. I mean, there's a lot of sites that I respect, but I think, you know, it's more about the news and just publishing news. There's not people in particular that I, you know, think, you know, write great news, because at the end of the day, it's just news. Okay, so it's 4:59. Oh, now it's 5 o'clock. Did you hear that? My computer just told me. Anyway, so I have to go, guys, but thanks, guys, for coming. And again, we'll be here next week, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have a new topic. Feel free to, if you have any suggestions or requests for the topic, you can, I guess, you can send me a message on Twitter. My screen name's It's My Job to Know, so maybe, and I'll take it into consideration. Also, I recorded it, so if you miss anything, you can watch the recording. It'll be on our Ustream channel page, and I'm going to try to upload it to YouTube. So, but anyway, thanks guys for watching, or thanks guys for coming. That's what at the end of videos I usually say thanks guys for watching. But for the stream, thanks guys for coming. I'll see you guys next week, and I'll try not to cut off after I say bye, even though it does every time. So I just give up. But anyway, bye.